Welcome back to another episode of the Wrinkly Brain podcast. This is a Smooth Brain EDH affiliated podcast with the goof, gaff, and talk about the Commander format. I'm your host, Ethan, and I am joined today by my lovely co-hosts, Cameron and Jason. Please go ahead and introduce yourselves.
Howdy, y'all. It's Cameron. I'm glad to be back.
Hey guys, it's Jason. Glad to be here. We're gonna have a fun episode today.
We are indeed, young man. We're focusing today's episode around things that bring us joy, what brings meaning to my empty hole in my chest where my heart should be, and that is pet cards. I love some good jank. Jason, do you love good jank?
Yes, I love some good jank. I also just love efficient cards that people hate. It's fine.
Cameron, do you like jank?
I just like playing bad cards that are bad, but they're fun.
That sums you up. You play Soul Skinner. Anyway,
Soul Skinner's good, dude.
We'll get into that one in particular. So we want to focus on pet cards today because with us making so many decks for our channel and for gameplay videos, we cycle through decks quite a bit. But these are cards that we always want to try to focus on either putting in or sometimes build around even to give us, a nice challenge or some nice variety because there's only so many ways you can build Kinrith. So let's just start out with talking about some of the cards we love because it brings me joy, right? I love Risen Reef.
That's the episode.
This card is something that if it was a legendary creature, it would be my deck. I love this card. Playing creatures that's getting incremental value, essentially play a creature, draw a card, or ramp. Bonkers. Love it. Beautiful.
Okay. As an aside, would it be too strong as a commander?
No.
I don't think so. Because blue-green elementals is not there's not a whole lot of
great
ones.
Red is generally like the
red is where you
color.
Well, it's all of them.
A lot of elementals in red.
One of the primary.
Yeah, you get elemental mastery in red. So if you have like a big boy, you can like make a bunch of elementals, which then triggers Risen Reef a ton. I've done some shenanigans with it. I've done elemental decks where my whole focus was get Risen Reef out and then just play the rest of my deck. Whenever COVID first hit, we were playing online with the 5-tick commander decks. I did that. You remember that, Cameron?
We did 1-tick commander decks. Those were fun. We did do that too. I did Neheb. That was fun.
You kicked our ass with that deck.
That deck was good.
But there's so many ways you can just make Risen Reef. If you like incremental value, Risen Reef is the card for you. You just play it and you just go wee. But everyone throws their lightning bolts at it. It makes you really sad. Personal experience.
I'm sorry, there's more people in Commander who play Lightning Bolt than me.
I played Neheb.
I'm the asshole that plays Kark and Sakashima. So according to Twitter, I'm the scum of the earth. When I play Lightning Bolt in that deck.
That discourse has been that's been some hot discourse to listen to.
This is being recorded the weekend after the Marquesa tournament write-up. So the weekend after Marquesa. This is April 3rd, I guess, if you want to date it. And the whole discourse around my little thumbless boy and his multiple friends of other thumbless boys.
Is this discourse primarily happening on Twitter?
Yes.
Yeah. That's why I don't hear about it. I stay off.
A little bit on Reddit, a little bit on Discord, a little bit on Reddit, but mostly Twitter. And Twitter has been aflame.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Well, we don't want to dwell on that. We want to talk about cards we love.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love 20 Crux on the field. I'd love that too.
Well, you and you alone. What I love is anything on the board that looks cool. That's why I play Clever Impersonator in almost any blue deck. I love this card.
Kark.
Yeah, I'll take Kark. But I remember it was really good once when Ethan was on an Enchantress deck and he had a Smothering Tithe out, and I was like, neat. I'm Grixis. I want a Smothering Tithe. I have copied people's Okos. I was
going to mention that.
Yeah, I just like how versatile it is, and sometimes you just even want to copy like a Mana Rock.
Mm-hmm.
I throw it in almost any blue deck I play, which probably isn't correct, but it's pet cards. It doesn't have to be correct. Just it's what you do. You love it.
Out of all the pet cards you could choose, it is a good one for the flexibility.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not going to fault you for playing it. And you copy my Smothering Tithe at least twice in my life, and I still don't like you for it.
If we were playing these cards because they're good, like, all right, that's not the point. Like, you want to talk about bad card to put into your deck? One of my pet cards is Dragon Mage, which is just a 7-mana 5/5.
Yeah.
When it domes somebody, everybody does a Wheel of Fortune, which This card is not good. It's 7 mana to get this effect, but it creates hilarious game states. And I play it in Kalia, where it's like, yeah, sure, I'll draw you into your board warrior, but I don't care.
Yeah. Yeah. Surprise wheel.
It's just like, I don't care. I'm just having fun with this.
Yeah.
With that note about like not caring about like whether you wheel someone into a board wipe, I guess are these the cards that we focus on? Like if we obviously Commander, people are competitive, they want to win. But there's also the aspect of Commander that is this is a board game. Whoever wins, it doesn't matter. We're just hanging out. Are these the cards we focus on more when it's like that latter kind of mindset of we're just here to have a good time, not a long time?
Yeah, that helps. I mean, my goal in Commander is just to do cool shit once, and if I do it, then cool. If not, and if I lose, I at least I tried and I did something cool. And
Mob
these hey, Mob Rule's one I didn't think about as a pet card. I put it in a lot of red decks as a finisher. Another card I'd put in a red deck as a finisher would be Sunforger. Well, not as a finisher, but yeah, it kind of is. It ends games.
Eventually.
Yeah, any equipment deck I play, I force Sunforger, regardless if it's good or not, and I put enough instance in the deck for it to be relevant. I'll play the white counter spells. I'll play Tybalt's Trickery. Not Mana Tithe though. I play what's it? Lapse of Certainty. I think
You
is
play
the
Lapse of
white counter
Certainty.
spell.
Yeah, the one that puts it on top of the library instead. So it's a bad
It's memory lapse. Yeah, it's memory lapse. But again, that kind of goes back to the point of just because they're your pet cards doesn't mean they have to be bad. Like Sunforger in a vacuum is a good card.
Yeah, it's a pretty solid card. It's also a very unique card. Like
Yeah.
a Boros equipment that has overlap with tutoring, instants, and sorceries. There is nothing similar to what Sunforger does, and combining almost, in many ways, almost opposite archetypes at times.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's a good pet card.
Yeah, I still need to make a Jeskai equipment deck so I can play Absorb and the actual counter spells that are in red and white.
No, stop,
Yeah.
please. I have a family.
I can get Dovin's Veto off of a Sunforger, Ethan. How would that
Okay,
make
so
you
moving
feel?
on from your disgusting fantasy. This is we're not technically for children, but that is not safe for work, my man.
No, it would be evil, and I would laugh maniacally.
I'm still mad about the Mana Tide last time we played.
Oh yeah, have we
Still
got to
mad.
talk about that? I think we did.
We
Yeah,
talked about it last week, yeah. And I'm still
I'll
over
talk
it.
about it again. I'll talk about it whenever you want to. Ethan.
No.
Just let me know.
So I had a little list of things to add, like to talk about in this section, but I'm adding one. Mana Tithe. Love that card. People respect it. You play it the one time, people respect you. People respect your deck forever. They have to know you have one wide open and 3 cards in hand. You have a chance of having it. Is it good? Is it hilarious?
Frankly,
Yes.
it's not good.
No, okay. I want to say it's better than you think.
Oh, let me rephrase. It gets much worse as the game goes on. Like all the spell pierce and pay effects do.
Or much better. Because no one expects it the late game.
No, it just gets worse because people just don't have enough spells to cast.
But if you're mana tithing someone's mana rock, you're actually just a bad person.
Oh, well, Shelby wants to mana tithe my Esper Sentinel on turn 1, and I did nothing but go after him the rest of the game.
Okay, that's not a mana rock though. That's just.
And I was playing Zergo.
I would do that.
I was playing Zergo, so I could kill him quick if I wanted to, and I did.
I still think that's like the incorrect play from Shelby, but
it was the funny one. It was hilarious.
I mean, you're talking about it on the podcast, so yeah.
Why do you have this much experience with Mana Tithe?
I've been Mana Tithe twice by Shelby. I Mana Tithed Ethan with his own Mana Tithe, which was the pinnacle. That was my peak as a Magic player. I don't think it will ever.
3 years ago.
It will. Yes, it will never. I'll never come close to that again, and it really makes me sad to say.
At least you realize that and accept your fate.
Okay, moving on, but mentioning counter spells. One of my more recent pet cards is Drown in the Loch, which doesn't seem like much of a pet card. It's just an efficient removal spell. But I think it's like, to me, that's like peak blue-black design right there. It enables itself easily. It goes on, like, it gets better as the game goes on. And it is flexible enough, but it is easy enough to be abused.
Does Drown
I
care
have no
about your
idea.
graveyard or the opponent's graveyard?
Opponents. You have to make
Okay,
sure
that's
each
what I thought.
opponent has a stocked graveyard to make it
it's
good.
it's a really cool card. Like
And
well
in casual,
I have
designed.
to
in casual commander, it's even harder to do if you just play it as like a normal counter spell because it's like,
Mhm.
yes, here's my Critter Hoof. How many cards are in your graveyard? 6.
Cool. And so it makes your other removal count much more in
Mm-hmm.
that case because you're
Yeah.
removing other permanents.
Yeah,
It's really
love this
clean.
card.
Well designed. We can't say that much about all the throne cards, but this one.
Love it.
Can I go back to a bad card now that I really like?
Yes.
Sorry, multiple bad cards.
I'm sorry, we were
So,
talking about good cards to begin with.
Yeah. So these cards are good in my heart, and I've talked about a few of these before on other episodes. But let's just talk about. I'm an artifact player at heart. I'm either a spell slinger or an artifact player. I like strong synergies between cards in that they start Rube Goldberg machines and create complicated board states that I can parse through and create overwhelming advantage. That's like my small summary of how I like to play the game. Some of these cards just work well together. Some of them are good. I like Goblin Welder. I like Scrap Welder. I like Goblin Engineer. I love the Ready Scrap Savant. All those cards, the Goblin Welder effects that just let me sacrifice artifacts to bring other ones back, helps me to play a game in such a unique way. But cards that go with that are bad, Pia's Revolution. It is a bulk rare from, I think, it was Kaladesh block. I think it was Aether Revolt.
I can't remember. It was a story card, wasn't it?
It was a story card.
Yeah. Sorry, just
it's a 3-drop red enchantment that says whenever artifact goes to the graveyard from your battlefield, you may have an opponent pay 3 life or take 3 damage. Can't remember the exact syntax there. If they don't, the artifact goes back to your hand. So essentially, if you have someone to load enough life, you can bully them and essentially always letting you rebuy your own artifacts.
It's Athreos. It's Athreos, but for artifacts.
Yes.
It is Athreos,
but it's much worse than Athreos.
Granted.
Does Athreos go back to hand or battlefield?
Hand.
It was hand. It's all hand.
Okay. So it is like Athreos.
We got bullied by this deck when we were playing kitchen table freshman year of college.
Yeah, you did.
I had a $20 zombies deck. I had cards with 2 blue pips, and I was playing 4 dismal backwaters and like 16 swamps. So that tells you where we were in our Magic deck building timeline, I guess. So we're just playing these little dinky dunk decks, and Ethan net decks. He net decks and gets I don't care about net decking. That was a joke. He finds this budget Pia's Revolution deck, and it actually had synergy as opposed to just creatures on board. And we got bodied.
Nice. It was one of my pinnacles as a Magic player.
Then Logan made 2020 Indestructibles, and we said we're playing Modern.
Yes, we did indeed do that too. And then another card that fits in this category is Metalwork Colossus, which I believe I touched on for like 5 minutes last week, so I won't focus on it. I will say my love for this card started back in 2018, I believe. So it was either 2017 or 2018. I was playing Standard, the Aetherflux Revolution deck, or Aetherflux, not Revolution, Aetherflux, Aetherworks
Marvel,
Aetherworks Reservoir. Why did I completely just blank out? So it was the mono blue artifact storm deck.
Oh, that deck was sweet.
So you play Bonesaw, you play all the like Paradoxical Outcome to bounce all your 0-drop artifacts to play them again. It played Inspiring Statuary, so you can then like cast Paradoxical Outcome for 1 blue mana.
What was the board wipe it played? That you bounced all permanents with like equal to islands or something.
Engulf the Shore.
Yes.
So you play 18 islands and just be able to bounce all your creatures. We play Ornithopter and stuff, so you can just play them again for free and bounce your opponent's stuff. It was fantastic. But my spicy tech in the sideboard was I played Metalwork Colossus. I played 2 of them because I would draw through my deck and be able to cast it for free. And someone's like going over like Aetherflux Reservoir, say, cool, beat 2 11/11s. They couldn't.
Ethan,
and also,
there's just like us playing Standard back then is kind of a microcosm of who we are as Magic players today. You played this like Rube Goldberg thing. I played blue-green electrostatic pummeler that tried to kill people on turn 4.
You're right. You know what? You are absolutely right. But what Logan was playing like the blue-white refurbished deck.
That deck was really cool.
But that doesn't really fit in with what he does though.
No, but I was saying you and I. That was like
the people that matter, right?
Well, he played Grixis He played Grixis Control, a $30 Grixis Control deck that we took to a Modern PTQ and got stomped.
We're not going back to that conversation. You guys are idiots. Jason, we'll move on from me gushing about stupid artifacts. Jason, what's another card you love?
All right, I want to get my 2 salty cards out of the way.
Hell
I
yeah, let's go.
love playing with Sire of Insanity and Notion Thief. I
You're
don't
an
care if
asshole.
I have them or if my opponent has them. I like how they change the game state instantly. They're big, they're impactful, they make you play a different game. I actually generally prefer playing with Sire of Insanity a little more than Notion Thief. Notion Thief's like the better card to play, but Sire of Insanity, you don't get top deck wars in Commander hardly ever, and some people absolutely hate them. I understand that. I still like it. I think it's neat.
It's a
Play
whole different
Jund and
aspect of
Commander.
playing.
Yeah, play Jund.
I mean, if Victor says mod, he'd probably like Sire of Insanity.
Tyrant Sandy's are pet cards ones that even if it like negatively affects you and your opponent has, you're like, damn, that shit's cool.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't really define what a pet card is. Pet card is just a card you really like. Like we
Yeah.
mentioned before, like, pet card might be something you'll go out of your way to put into your deck. In other cases, it may be if you can include this in a deck, your experience with that deck is just so much higher than it would be before. Like, a card that I forgot to include on this list, but I should have included is Keen Duelist. Keen Duelist is absolutely my most recent like major pet card. Love it. Bad Bob, let me fight you. I love it.
Oh, that's a fun card.
It's from the Strixhaven Precon for Silver Quill, which also had the best black draw spell printed in Commander.
Steady.
Stop.
Stinging
No.
Study.
Fuck off. Do we have 15
That
minutes?
was
Can I
not
start being
a-
aggressive now?
We're talking.
Yeah, I think
We're talking about cards that bring people pain that are pet cards for us. I would like to bring one up. Ob Nixilis the Unshackled.
you're
no,
off the
absolutely, absolutely not. I will stay, and I will. You know what people like doing in Commander is shuffling their libraries a lot, and looking for a specific card. Ob Nixilis says you can do that, but there's a price. I remember I got it out on turn 3 with my Belby deck back when Commander Legends first came out, and we had a video for that. That was like a year and a half ago at this point now. Jeez.
I'm trying to look up real quick and see what video it was. It was
you were
our
on Equa
fourth
Prava.
video. Well, yeah. Well, we did 2 games. It was the game where there's a game that I lost, and I won the game that Justin was playing in when he was playing Jericho Dalian. So it was me on Ikra, Shadiki, and Prava. You on Belby. Logan was on Tormod, Dargo, and then Chandler was on. Why am I blanking on these guys' names?
Akroma and Kamal.
Akroma Kamal. Yeah. So this boy went like turn 1 Pinger, turn 2 Belby, turn 3 Court of Calling for Omnixus Unshackled.
Yeah, it was.
I'm sitting there with a Kadama's Reach and like another lane.
lands.
I had like 2 fetch lands and a Kadama's Reach, and I did not play the game.
I let you borrow some of my duels, so you were like, I get to fetch a duel, and I was like, no, you don't.
Yeah, that was the first time I was ever going to get to fetch a duel ever, and you literally said, "Here's the duels, now don't."
I've had 2. Like I've played Ob Nixilis Unshackled and Kalia for years. It's a card that I've greatly enjoyed. It's not the best card in the deck by any means, but it's another great one. 2 fantastic times that I've played with or against Ob Nixilis. I have paid 30 life to an Ob Nixilis in 1 turn and won the game. It's like, don't care. I will search 3 times to win the game. Don't care. I use it as a sack outlet as well in that turn.
Oh, yeah, you have to sacrifice the creature. That's hilarious.
I had to remove the thing so I didn't die immediately, but
that's still funny.
It was great. But the other thing is, in one of our wonderful 7-player games of Commander back in college, I managed to. Ob Nixilis was triggered 5 times in a single turn cycle. Best part about it, though, is one person triggered it twice. He forgot the first time, because this was back when we were like, oh, no take backsies. We were still figuring this stuff out for the casual side of things. But no take backsies. He fetched into it and was like, well, there goes 11 life. Goes through his turn, and he searches again and completely forgot. He had got by it already once and just 20s himself and dies on the following turn.
That's rough, buddy.
That, thank you, Zuko.
Thank you,
Oh,
Kanye.
Lord.
Real cool.
Thank you. Very cool.
At first, I was like, I'm just so used to saying that phrase, I forgot that was a reference to Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Yes,
I'm not
it's
gonna
Zuko.
lie.
My girlfriend
have the
turned into the
memes.
moon.
That's rough, buddy.
That's rough,
I
buddy.
had the meme saved in my phone. I just in the moment forgot. I gotta lay off the alcohol apparently.
Maybe.
Maybe a little bit. It's fine. I feel like I could gush for hours on just random cards, but
Yes,
I
we
think
could.
we also need to move on at least a little bit, right? Because
I
we
think
could be
there's-
here. We could do 2 hours of just gushing about.
You mentioned
stupid cards.
Krakashima. Isn't there kind of a secret commander in Krakashima?
Okay, if you want me to mention Harmonic Prodigy, yes.
Yes.
Harmonic Prodigy is the best card printed in Modern Horizons 2, aside from the fetch lands. This card brings me so much joy. I like Panharmonicon effects. I like when I saw Veyron got printed in Strixhaven for the Prismari deck, I was so excited. Harmonic Prodigy is Veyron, but not overpowered. Because Veyron is dumb. Veyron is stupid. It does really dumb stuff without even trying. Harmonic Prodigy is very focused on what it does, but it's still a very powerful effect to the point where when I built Rionia for the channel, which we have 2 videos up with that, I play Gamble in that deck just to tutor out Harmonic Prodigy typically. That was the reason I included that card. Because I just wanted to find Harmonic Prodigy and double my Rionia triggers. Because it brings me joy to do that. And also it's in Krakashima because it doubles up your coin flip triggers and it just makes the math really, really messed up. And I love it.
I love Gamble as a tutor because if you discard the thing that you tutored for, we all get to laugh at you, and that's the best part of Magic. That's the best part of Magic, especially the old 50-50 Gamble. This isn't Legacy Lands. It's not a loam. You don't want it to go to the graveyard. You want to keep what you get.
I love the "Hello Darkness, my old friend" gambles.
Yes.
I mean, it happened on the channel. The first Rionia video, I went Gamble for a Wheel of Fortune and another card in hand, and I discard the Wheel of Fortune.
You could also is Gamble better than Entomb because it can also be an Entomb. It's the only card in your hand.
Entomb is instant speed, right?
It's sorcery. Gamble's Entomb is instant, yes, but Gamble can be an Entomb in the correct situation.
Okay, technically yes. Find me a situation other than like Duretti where that is like good.
You get a card that costs less with Madness, so you gamble for it, and then it discards itself.
I will actually concede to that point. You actually have convinced me on that. I didn't even think about Madness in that case. Look at Cameron being a smart boy.
Madness is a cool mechanic. Mechanics that are cool. That's what we should talk about one day. Is underused mechanics that are cool.
So for a lot of the stuff we've been talking about, we didn't mention any commanders specifically. And it's perfectly fine if your commander is your pet card, particularly when we're talking about Panharmonicon decks, for example. Yarok is somebody's pet card. Or Arcades is somebody's pet card because it's such a unique commander and what it does.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes your pet card isn't your commander and you want to build around your pet card. So that is the second topic we have for today. How do you build around a card in your deck that is not your commander? So first of all, why would we want to do this?
It's fun.
It really is fun.
A lot of the time, I know that there's sometimes color restrictions with commanders. I remember a Game Nights video where this is an old one where Josh built a Nekusar deck, but Nekusar wasn't the commander. It was Chromat. I think it was Chromat just so he could have Wooburg. Stuff like that.
It was some 5-color commander. I don't think it mattered too much who the commander was, so long as you knew that you were trying to play a 5-color wheels deck. There just wasn't a commander that would let you play all 5 colors and have a wheel strategy that was very effective. So he took a lot of effort to make sure that he could find and play Nekusar out of his deck so that he would be able to use these wheels effectively. One of the things is like some commanders can't be engine pieces and don't do what you want to do in your color combo. We mentioned that. So sometimes your commander isn't really giving you the effect you want. A card in your deck is what can give you the effect, and you want to do it within this color combination.
Also
Another
a
great
challenge.
Yeah, these are great challenges to figure out how to do it, especially when you throw restrictions on yourself. Us in the Tutors Are Cringe camp have a particularly hard time with this.
I'm a little more lenient if you're trying to essentially play a commander out of your deck, because in that case, if you're typically tutoring for your pet card that's going to be your engine piece, one, I mean, you're playing a weaker strategy in that case anyway, with not having it in the command zone, so you need to find it reliably. And then when it's removed, if it's exiled, then it's just gone forever compared to a commander going back to the command zone. So I'm a little bit more lenient on it, depending on how you build your deck. But that's like the only thing I'm going to give on at this point. Tutors are still cringe. It's just less cringe.
Also, there's some hugely dynamic gameplay that goes into this. When you do not guarantee your engine piece or your build around is in your opening hand every game, it makes it so that you have to adapt your gameplay and your game style very often, or you have to play inefficiently at sometimes just to try to keep the game going.
And if you're also trying to find these things and you don't have tutors, you want to focus on card draw. Card draw becomes much more important in these decks for you to find engine pieces, because obviously the one card is important, right? But you're probably going to want other cards to support that. You need to find more cards. So having more card advantage in your decks typically is probably where you need to lean if you're doing a secret commander or a pet card build around.
Or if the effect you're building around has multiple cards that do it, try to find multiple cards that you can do that with. One example that I liked working with is when you do in the Jeskai Spellslinger grouping, you can play with Jeskai Ascendancy for card draw. You can play with Whirlwind of
Roll
Thought,
of thought.
Yep.
or you can do Archmage Emeritus. All of them provide you a card draw anytime you cast an instant or sorcery. So your Storm style decks can go off, especially because Jeskai Storm really doesn't have the best commanders for it.
Nope.
They got Nostro.
I mean, Jeskai
Card's
doesn't
bad.
have great commanders in general, but that's another topic.
Yeah, we can talk
Hinata-
about something like that.
Hinata is a very
Hinata's
good one
good.
that's been really recently
Yes.
released.
But
Past that,
overall,
show me a good one.
you have Elsha, and Elsha is still kind of eh.
It
But
depends,
she
like,
combos with top.
Yeah, and we can talk about like partners, for example, that cracks
Jessica
open a
Ishai.
whole group of other. Yeah,
Eh.
but
But past that, like there's not many impactful ones that are memorable,
Mhm.
right? And I was super depressed when I saw Nostra. I was like, this is so close to being reasonable, and it only has
Nostro.
creatures. Nostro, Voice of the Crags. It's from
Isn't
Command
that weird
Legends.
one that like you can tap to like what your storm count is, and none
Yep.
of them are good?
It's like
try
Scry
gain
X
life
and
or deal damage to target
Correct.
creature. I believe.
You can't even deal. You can't hit players. That's
yeah. If
Not-
it
not,
hit players,
not a
it should be
storm win
fine.
con.
that seems
Like-
like a really big not necessarily even an oversight, just like yeah.
I mean,
It's
it
a-
was intentional, right? It was designed
Yeah.
so that you
Right.
couldn't just kill your opponents with your storm commander.
but also like
I wanted to though.
it's
Yeah.
still really hard. Like storming off killing commander is not as. I mean, it's also not as hard. It's not as easy as in constructive formats because 40 life.
Mhm.
So trying to grape shot people from being at 36 life, that's not easy. You got to make
them.
them.
Sakashima.
Yeah, exactly. That's why you play Sakashima.
Yeah, I mean, realistically,
Yeah.
your win con becomes killing people with Aetherflux Reservoir, which I will
Yep.
say, Nostro does directly contribute to.
Mhm.
Yeah, gaining the life.
But
So-
also you don't have Paradox Engine, so it's
but
not
Aether
Yeah,
Flux-
you don't have Paradox Engine.
Aetherflux already
Paradox would be good.
supports itself well enough in the life gain. I don't think it needs the help.
But you could have more, and it makes the storm turns go doubly as fast, which makes people slightly less mad.
He's just trying to count to 50. Well, 150, I guess.
I mean, not even that. You just got to count to like 15, and you're probably there.
Whatever the math is on it. I don't know.
You don't do math. We just play the game.
Yeah.
Math is for blockers and losers.
Sure, somebody with a PhD in math is over here just like, you're right.
Logan had a minor in math. He probably would agree with me.
It's close enough. That's basically a PhD.
Math is for nerds.
Side note: it is not basically a PhD. I respect everyone's work they put into their degrees.
Yes, absolutely.
I don't want hate comments directed at us over a joke.
How dare you disrespect higher education in the United States of America?
You're literally going for your master's right now, Jason.
Yeah, it's fine. I didn't say I was smart. Anyway, so want to talk to you a little bit about something that I did for this play group. So I have a collection of decks that I have built that I want these guys to play at some point. They don't know what they're getting into, But we can mention that or at least 5 of the decks in this are built around the Ascendancies from Khan's block. Obviously, all 5 of these decks being built around not the commander means that I had some very unique deck building challenges for these and how they play a little bit differently. We even talk about Nostro and mentioned Jeskai Ascendancy. Guess who's one of the commanders?
Oh my lord.
Yay.
That one's a Persistent Petitioners deck.
Oh my lord. That's hilarious.
I love it.
So, building around these with these commanders, like sometimes you pick an Ascendancy and you're just like, okay, I'll find the perfect commander to match what this deck's trying to do. Nostro actually fits with what this deck wants to be doing. Other times you pick a commander who has like some overlap in how you want to do things. Tyam for Abzan Ascendancy, since it gives you 1/1 counters and gives you creatures when your things die, worked pretty well for just removing the 1/1 counters that it places and then reanimating, and my choice was enchantments, so that I could make sure I get back my stupid Ascendancy.
Abzan enchantments. Ooh, I never even thought about that.
It's a neat one.
Ooh.
The black cards don't add a lot if you don't play with the tutors. And I didn't play with the tutors, so
You play Doomwake Giant though. You play Doomwake
you
Giant.
do get
that makes
Doomwake Giant.
everything is right in the
card.
world when you play Doomwake Giant.
Oh yeah,
Solid card.
I'm super happy about that one. And then you just find sometimes you just build around one of these Ascendancies, and you're just like, it's just a fine enough fit for a general shell. One of those decks is the 3-color Omnath Elementals deck. You're just going to have a good number of 4-power elementals. They want haste. You'll draw some cards. That's what that deck wants to be doing anyway. It's a good enough fit.
Me like you.
And then you have one example, which was the Mardu deck, building around Mardu Ascendancy.
What does that one even do?
Whenever you attack, you're making 1/1s.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, and you can sacrifice it to give all of your creatures +0/+3 until end of turn, which is
Okay.
like not a
Okay.
useful ability, honestly.
Okay.
But
It does a thing.
it does a thing. And in that situation, this was like, I have no idea who I want to build around. Ishin was printed after I did this, and I should 100% just make that an Ishin deck. But screw you, I came up with Rograk Timna, so I'm sticking with it.
You could do Gin just in case someone kills your Mardu Ascendancy. I need
Yes,
that back.
you can do
Oh wait,
that
you
as
just
well.
you just reanimated your own Mario Ascendancy.
Yeah, we can.
So
I'll
Jason, you
do
just
it again.
built bad Mad Farm is what I'm hearing. You built a bad CDH deck, Rograk Timna.
Yeah, if Rograk Timra and CDH was actually attacking with Rograk to generate a goblin, sure,
Yeah.
We can make that happen.
we're
I
gonna
know
make this happen. But like some of the core principles we mentioned before, card draw was necessary. I'm a little more lenient on tutors. Enchantment tutors became something I included in all of the white decks. Every single one of the blue decks includes Drift of Phantasms in it,
It's good.
which is transmute for a 3-drop. That's it.
Ascendancy.
And
It's an Ascendancy. Get
and
it?
it's triggered an activate ability, not a spell.
Wait, we're getting new Ascendancies too with the new Capenna.
Yeah,
Yep,
there's a
that's
reason why
why-
we've delayed on making this content. That we would have had a video out at this point for them.
Yep.
More Ascendancies.
Esper. Woo!
Jund.
So
Other shards.
other chart, yes.
Yes. So
I'm really
those
curious.
those sound-
I want to see those Ascendancy so bad.
yeah.
We got the
But, I mean,
Bant one, right?
Yeah, Broker's Ascendancy.
Broker's Ascendancy. We that one's released. I'm waiting for the Obscura Ascendancy because I'm down with that family. Is that the term?
Family.
Yeah,
they're
they're part of the
Okay.
family.
Family. But when Jason told us about these Ascendancy decks, we were super excited, and we were trying to brainstorm some other fun cards to just kind of build around, whether it be the commander or not. One that got mentioned was Phage the Untouchable, because that one is your commander, causes some issues if you read the card.
Couple.
If you don't know, Phage the Untouchable is a card that reads, if it enters the battlefield was not cast from your hand, you lose the game.
So on
but-
Phage, real quick, I know we're talking about building around it, so it doesn't necessarily have to be your commander. My
Exactly.
ultimate goal in Commander is at some point to cast Fractured Identity on my own Phage.
Didn't we mention this like 3 episodes ago?
Does not matter. We're putting it back up because that would be the most hilarious way to win a game ever. It happening is very unlikely because you need. Let's see, Phage is 7.
12. Yeah, I think you need 12 mana to make that happen.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So it
You're
would also
blind,
have to
you
be.
have dark red. You have dark red. It's fine.
Everything's fine.
Would y'all be okay with me playing Demonic Tutor in that deck?
Oh, absolutely.
More so in that deck, yeah, because you're trying. You're not. Your 2-card combo takes 12 mana, and I think that it's reasonable and it's interactable.
Make it an Omniscience deck with Yenit play Yenit?
Yeah.
And do
Yenit cares about odd TMC, and Omniscience is 10 mana, so
10.
it doesn't really.
No,
But you can still play it as an Omniscience, like a
It's-
value Omniscience in the deck.
It's fine. Just have fun, kid. But yeah, like Phage the Untouchable. Also mentioning, just Phage is so unique in that it's the only card in the game that just says, I dink you on the head and you die. Like, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I deal combat damage to you, you are dead.
You were dead.
There's also the assassins off of one of the Vraskas, right? That also does that.
Yes.
Yeah, but like
But those are tokens.
that requires you to ultimate a Vraska the Unseen.
It is the. I'm surprised you knew which Vraska it was.
I'm not.
Look, I enjoy Vraska as a character. I know her cards pretty well.
Fair enough.
Unless it came from a Planeswalker deck, then screw it. I have no idea what I'm talking about.
Those don't matter. Those hardly matter. So, one of the things I will not stop talking about Murder Colossus. And I think I mentioned this last week or the week before when we talked about budget. I brewed a $25 Gliss of the Trader deck. That was a Metal Colossus deck, and the whole point of the deck was dig through my deck till I find Metal Colossus and use it to sacrifice things from its activated ability while in the graveyard to then get back with Glissa to just make a machine of that. It's not the commander, but it uses the commander in a unique way, and it's a artifact sack value piece. So I love things like that.
If you ever watch MTG Goldfish, or you were familiar with Tomer from Budget Commander, he is obsessed with Cauldra. Assembling all 3 pieces of Cauldra, and there's now the similar card that you can work with Mech Titan Core. Building these weird pieces and putting them together for not necessarily a game-winning effect, but it looks cool. Absolutely. Great pet card.
You win the game in your heart, if nothing else.
Yes. At the very
I do
minimum.
the thing.
Yeah, at the very minimum, I say I've won. I don't care if I actually win. Similarly, a classic assembling all the pieces is the Great Machine, which most people are not familiar with what that terminology actually means. But the Great Machine is assembling all of the stations from Mirrodin block. Talking blasting station, salvaging station, and I'm forgetting the names of the other ones because, I don't play with them enough. But assembling all of those together to create this big complex machine, and then there's the mini Great Machine from Kaladesh block with like animation module in it.
Concoction module, animation module, and the third one I'm blanking on.
It's okay. It only has 2 parts.
Fabrication module. It's animation module, fabrication module, concoction module, I think.
Yeah, that's probably it.
That sounds right, but if I'm wrong, oh well.
I don't know.
Oh darn, we're not encyclopedias of knowledge of random Magic trivia. Who would have thought?
We do know thousands of cards off the top of our head, just not those ones.
Yep.
And not in the right order.
Unrelated
Not in the right
to this,
order.
I was actually actually is a show that's like through the College Humor Network that like they bring a bunch of nerds on, talk about nerd culture essentially, and like random questions. They've been uploading a lot of the backlog stuff onto YouTube, and so I found a video about Magic, and like 9 out of 10 questions on that thing. I was like, they don't know this? How could they not know that was the Vision set symbol? And I'm like, why do I know this stuff? They're like being questioned on a bunch of random stuff. Like, why do I know that that's the Alliance's set symbol? Why do I know this random lore? And just
Alliances is easy. It's just the flag, right?
but we know that. People that have been playing for longer than us don't know that as a thing because we're so invested.
It's because we're smart and have good memories, not because we play this game too much.
Sure.
Cameron, how dare you imply that I'm smart?
I'm sorry, I didn't want to assume anything. I take it back.
While we're here talking about obviously smart plays, talk about this Salt Skitter again. We mentioned this earlier on.
My favorite card. So actually, we've been talking about pet commanders. Afara is one of my favorite commanders because you just play. It's creature control. You just kind of sit there. What you want to do is you want to assemble an engine, in that you just do nothing for the rest of the game except like exist and draw cards, and that's kind of what I want to do in Magic. So cards,
spirits.
Huh?
We're kindred spirits in that case.
We're the same but different.
Yeah,
I mean,
you but better.
Afara is, a 4-mana enchantment where just now you just want to make sure that you have a creature enter the battlefield every turn, including on your opponent's turn, so you draw a card on the following turn.
On every upkeep. So the cards that do this well, we said Salt Skitter, because Salt Skitter reads whenever it sees another creature enter the battlefield, it exiles itself and comes back at end of turn. So Afara will see the Salt Skitter come back on that last turn's end step, and you'll get to draw a card on the next upkeep. And the other one is Nadir Kraken. That one may be better just because it also lets you assemble a board state too. Nadir Kraken reads whenever you draw a card, you can pay 1 and put a 1/1 counter on Nadir Kraken and make a 1/1 blue tentacle creature token. So you get a little loop where you just pay 1 on but whenever you draw the card on the upkeep with Afara, you make another token, and then the next turn Afara will have seen that token enter, and you'll get to pay 1, draw another card. I think a $50 budget game like that, just making tentacles for the whole game.
No one touched it.
Yeah.
Related question. Have any of you seen the tokens that Johannes Voss made for Nadir Kraken?
I have not.
Okay. Johannes Voss, fantastic magic artist. He's got incredible style. You may know him from like Starnheim Unleashed is one of his cards.
Oh, really?
But he is a weeb at heart, and his custom tokens are the weebiest shit. It's fantastic. So he just has this super, like, he made an 8/8 octopus or kraken token, and it's just this cute, super cute octopus that's hanging out. But the tentacle token in the background has the tentacle coming up, throwing a fish and slapping someone in the face. Fantastic.
Yeah, I see it. It's hilarious.
I'm trying to find it.
Johannes Voss Kraken or tentacle token is what I googled.
This is totally useful for our viewers to listen to us. That is a fantastic token.
That's so cute.
So are you buying this token, Cameron? Because we have to show this on the channel now.
Probably at some point, because I don't know if they made tentacle tokens for that set.
They did.
They did. Okay, I don't own them.
Yeah, they're super. They're a little
obscure,
simple, so to speak. But that is simple with air quotes for the viewers.
They're like $1 after shipping to get these tokens. Like,
so I need to get like 3 or 4 of them.
Yeah,
I think he makes them double-sided as well.
Oh, cool.
It was one with there's just a single, and they had one that's double-sided with a satyr, and one double-sided with human soldier.
I'd probably get the one with human soldier because I also play Keeper of the Accord in Afara, which is also very good in Afara.
And unrelated, they also the game MetaZoo, which I know nothing about. They also have a tentacle token, but you can get those for as low as 3 cents on there. And I don't think we really need to care that we know they're 1/1. So if you want to go extra budget, just get those, I guess. I don't know anything about MetaZoo. It's just on TCG Player. We're not going on a rant about another card game. We've already done Yu-Gi-Oh! Like episode 3.
We have enough card games in our life.
Yeah, we do.
Magic is enough.
All right. So we've said what we wanted to say about these fun build-around cards. We want to answer a question that we received on another video. So I believe this was on our 3rd episode. We got a question from YouTubin20 who asked us, do y'all have any card, set of cards, type of card that you actively avoid during deck building? I tend to stay away from absurdly fast mana and time walk effects. Guys, what do you think?
Yeah, when you say absurdly fast, are we talking like Mana Crypt, Mox Diamond, Chromox?
I assume it's those type of things.
And to a lesser extent, like Grim Monolith, and I'm fine.
Grim Monolith's like fast mana adjacent, and coming from someone that has 4 of them, it hurts me to include that in there because I liken it
to a Dark Ritual in a way.
It really is a Dark Ritual. It's hard to break that. If you're playing Manifold Key and Voltaic Key in your EDH decks, you're really focused on it. And if you're devoting slots in your deck for these 1 mana do nothing artifacts, make more mana, go for it.
So fast mana besides Soul Ring, which that's a topic for another day because Soul Ring is a contentious, I guess is a word, topic in our group sometimes. In a good way. So it's good to have those discussions.
All of these things I think we plan to mention here are things we've had to discuss and we still have not come to a conclusion. Our Rule Zero conversations regarding these cards are very hard to proceed with because a lot of people have a lot of opinions. And if I own a card, I want to play it. But at the same time, I also understand that it makes sometimes bad gameplay for a lot of other people, and we want everyone to have a good time.
Like,
Yeah,
So
I was just saying, there's also a difference in picking between cards that we're putting in like our casual decks versus what we're doing for the decks we bring for our videos.
yep. Sometimes there's some overlap there in that,
There's
like, the decks we build for the channel, sometimes we really end up enjoying and keep around just because we think they're so much fun. Like, Ethan's Rionia deck is one that comes to mind.
I've been banned for
Rionia
playing
was
that,
really
though.
hot.
I was banned for playing it.
Well, Spellslinger got banned for a little bit
Yep.
by our editor.
Thank you, editor. I appreciate you.
We'll have to appease that case with the editor.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, I also tend to not put in the fast mana. Like, I own a Gaia's Cradle, and unless we're explicitly like, hey, we're playing high power casual here. Like, I have a Carador deck that's pretty good and can win on. I haven't played it for the channel yet. We haven't really done high power casual yet. Ethan can attest because that when we first got back into Commander, that was my one Commander deck, and I can win on pretty consistently, like turn 5 or 6 with it. If I kill a Protean Hulk, I win.
Yeah. It very much is. You
Hulk
find
win.
Protean Hulk, and the deck can just find it so many ways. It's just
Carador becomes a tutor eventually with how many cards go in the graveyard.
Yep, and everyone
In a way.
still throws bogs my way, so it's just kind of like, even though you're playing Carador, I was still getting bogged. I'm like, what the hell is this time loop we're in?
Yeah. Another one is that I see is free interaction. So I think there are some stipulations that can go on with that. Like, I think playing Snuff Out is completely reasonable. That's technically free interaction.
Yeah.
But like there is a downside to it. 4 mana is a 10th of your life total, starting life total. So and it's a little more narrow than something like a Force of Will.
Yeah, like as much as I don't love free interaction, I still love the card Foil, for example, because
that one's got a cost though. That
it's
one
a
is an actual
3 for
cost.
1.
3 for 1 yourself. It's not Force of Will, pitch blue card 2 for 1. Okay, sure, that kind of sucks. But no, the foil 3 for 1 and asking for the island, like
like specific card in your deck and another card, it's an actual cost. But like Fierce Guardianship is a free interaction spell. There is no cost to playing that. If you're playing Commander, you generally will be casting your Commander or trying to keep it around. And some decks, like Afara, have very hard to remove commanders. And so literally...
I do play it in my Afara deck just because.
Why would you not?
The added upside of her being indestructible is just like, okay, yeah, free count. Or in most games, once I get her out, she's not going anywhere.
Yeah,
because
like,
she's not worth. She's not worth removing a lot of the time too.
Debatable, but
it's more worth to remove. It's more worth to remove the engine pieces that like enable her.
But Salt Skitter's hard to remove because it keeps on going away.
It sure is.
That's why you like it.
Yeah.
But free interaction, like there's a difference between foil and Fierce Guardianship deflecting SWAT. Like I think there's like the caveat there. So like one thing we've suggested for our group as like a alternative to is we limit how many free interaction spells, because I could throw in every single one of them and never have to tap my lands for half my stuff, but that would not create a fun experience. So we've tossed around the idea of like limiting ourselves to 2 free interaction spells. So you can only play like Force of Will and Force of Negation in your deck. So like you would have to choose between like the 10 or so free interaction spells that are actually like free. If you want to throw a foil in there as well,
yeah, foil doesn't
knock
count.
yourself out. That I don't count. Like that one is like is misdirection, exile 1 or 2 blue, 1 or 2 cards.
It's one, but it's more narrow.
Yeah,
it's a lot more narrow.
Changes targets.
Like we still haven't figured all that stuff out, like as a play group, because we've been in this for a year and a half now. We're still figuring our stuff out. We don't have everything figured out. We're all growing as people and as players with different opinions, ranging daily. Yeah. So it's hard to figure this stuff out. So if that's why you're asking, maybe if you're asking like because I'm having issues in your own play group,
yeah,
just know this is a very nuanced issue and everyone has it. I would like to see an example of a play group that has not had any issues talking about power level, because they're doing something right.
Yeah, because like one of the things I would say is when I'm going through my checklist on like it's completely dependent. My first question is what power level am I playing to for this? Because if I'm playing for high power, oh screw it, I'm going to include as many tutors and fast mana as I want. Maybe I'll exclude a handful of cards because I don't want them in my play experience, or because I don't have access to them. Little thing. I hear Jason Cowan and somebody who is not the biggest fan of proxying cards. I'm fine with people doing it, but I choose to not do it for myself. So if I'm going to include a card, yeah, I don't include Mox Diamond in a lot of my decks. Whoops.
I mean, we're talking about things we don't use things that you mentioned things that people may not enjoy in that last sentence. Stacks pieces are really high on that list. Like a lot of people, I don't mind playing against stacks personally, just because it's another way to play the game, and
Yeah.
I don't get frustrated generally when people play the game how they want to, because that's what makes Magic so great is you can win in so many different ways. There is one that I will not play in my decks. It is Drannith Magistrate, especially for the channel. And that's more a production consideration on my part, that some people come to the channel to watch a certain commander. So if I play a Drannith Magistrate turn 1 or turn 2, and somebody wanted to see Ethan's Hanada deck go off or something, and it just doesn't happen, and that really sucks.
It negates the chance of them getting to do it. I actually played Drannith Magistrate, I think in my Cole deck whenever
You did.
Kaldheim dropped. And it got stolen from me twice, and I realized, man, I just don't like playing this card anymore, so I stopped including it. It's super
Yeah.
powerful, because it doesn't shut down just commanders, it shuts down entire strategies. Like, Carador could not function with the Drannith Magistrate on the field. Prosper could not function with the Drannith Magistrate on the field.
Yes.
Yeah, Prosper cannot.
Prosper
Yeah.
cannot.
So, like, it shuts down a lot of popular commanders, because they are powerful effects, but if you're shutting down someone's playstyle completely by playing a 2-drop 1/3, like, that's not content we want to make, and that's not the play experience I want to promote. I like to either interact with them and maybe punish them in a sense, but not letting them play the game at all. That turns into you get to watch me play Magic, and that's not what I like.
removal. Lol.
Yeah, commenting on
Get out of here, Reddit.
commenting on Drannith Magistrate specifically, though, obviously we have this in our production area, but from like a casual area, for me, I'm more than happy to include a handful of stacks or taxing pieces. I tend to avoid going heavy into it because presenting one challenge to your opponents to answer seems fine. Presenting them 5 or 6 things they need to answer before they can start playing the game gets a bit much.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like, you're playing like both the Thalias, Thalia Garden of Thraben and Thalia Heretic Cathar, and what's the other one that's kind of like that? It's the 3 mana, 2 and a white, non-basic lands into the battlefield tapped, and there's
Archon of Area.
Yep, Archon of Area.
There's
So
also
you're playing,
Vryn Winning Mare, like another taxing effect. Like, there's
Yeah.
plenty of white taxing effects you could throw in there.
because one of those isn't that bad. Like, one of those effects on the board, it's more of an annoyance a lot of the time than like keeping people from playing their decks.
And also, those particularly also scale a power level to an extent.
Mhm.
Like, if you're playing in a casual play group with like budget, it might be more basic lands, or they're playing slower, so the one tax of a Thalia isn't really affecting their gameplay so much. It might be increasing their CMC or their mana value of a card by like 15% compared to 50%, like in a CDH game. So that's why those tax pieces are much more influential in those scenarios.
And I think it's important to have a disclaimer that this is all in the casual sphere that we're talking. CDH is everything goes, anything goes. Trying to win.
There's nothing
which is
I
why
will avoid. I will bring up Karkashima.
no, it's the reason why playing ourselves, like just us, I don't care if people don't like Karkashima, because like we established like we're playing whatever, and there's no way I can get faster with the deck without me playing it. For the channel, my personal analysis of our last CDH game is people don't like that deck, and we views wise, it was one of our lower viewed videos as of late, and it could be that it was close to the discourse. I mean, it's the only CDH deck I don't have any proxies in, and that's my baby. Like Jason, I prefer not to proxy if I can. I'm not above it for doing the videos because I want to make content. I don't care about that. But like for my own personal decks, it is a collector's thing for me.
Yep.
I like to own the cards I'm playing generally. If people want to proxy, I'd rather them play the game. Just personally, I like owning my cards. But again, no issues with proxying. I do all the time for the channel.
We wouldn't be able to afford the channel if we didn't proxy for the channel.
But like, we definitely couldn't, because it took a while.
We would play a lot more budget.
Yeah. We need to do that anyways.
So, like for the first 6 months of channel, I didn't proxy is the thing. Like financially, it was not smart. But I enjoy playing my own cards, and I would just go down to LGS and buy the cards I needed. And that also influenced what I got as well to put in the deck because I didn't want to spend too much money.
Yeah.
And so a lot of the decks I built were very contained to the few strategies I had. Until I started proxying, like for set releases, obviously we had to. There were some cards we couldn't pick up.
Yes.
Actually, Kaldheim though we didn't proxy because we had people pre-release weekend go buy some boxes, and we just pulled what we had. And if we didn't pull the card out of our stuff, we just found a replacement.
Yep. I think the early part of the channel, us not proxying, that also coincides with, especially the early part of the channel, it was just us playing our decks more so and not releasing stuff coincided with set releases. I think Commander Legends was our first. Well, how long had we had the channel up before
Like a
Commander
month.
Legends?
We started
Really?
in October of 2020, and Commander
Wow.
Legends dropped either late October or early November. So
Oh.
we
Well,
Commander
never
Legends
mind.
we also got a box. We were playing cards from there.
Mhm.
We all got like 12 packs, and
Yep.
we all pulled from there. We had a build commander of what we pulled.
Commander from what we pulled.
So the proxying thing obviously goes into that. And if you're against proxying, one thing that you probably don't want to include are extra expensive cards. I know Jason, especially on this, he mentioned the Mox Diamond. I will even tend to not build decks if I can't play my Volcanic Island nowadays, because I just like playing the Volk I worked so hard to save up money and get.
Yeah.
Like it's if you see me playing a lot of blue red, it's because I own the duel.
You also like blue red, you goober.
Well, that too. That's why I got the Volk.
I mean, I'm kind of like that. I own the Abzan duels. So if I have Mad Farm proxied right now for my CDH deck.
You have Bad Farm.
Bad Farm. Sorry, Mad Farm is Mardu. Bad
Correct.
Farm proxied. There's so many farms.
They all pointlessly have bad names as long as mad is as farm is included and AD is in there.
Yep. It's an X
Mad Sad
deck.
Bad.
Mhm.
Mad Sad Bad. I forget there's another one.
And Rad. But
Mad farm is the thing.
I want to build Rad Farm.
Rad Farm. But like, I think it would be really cool to get to the point where I can have a CDH deck, not proxy. Like, I actually own most of that deck. The only expensive cards I don't own is a Mox Diamond, and I really don't feel, and just like Jason, we don't feel like shelling out the what is it now, $700 for a Mox Diamond when it was $30 when we first started playing Magic the Gathering.
Yeah.
Ethan won one for $100 and traded it immediately. Oh, that was fun.
Yeah, I was a dummy.
Nah, you got some cool shit.
I got a staff animation for like $30. It was like part of it. Like I was just like, I wanted cards for my Brea deck, and I should have kept the Mox Diamond.
Well, I mean, everybody probably goes through this thought process because if you're like us, when you first got into the game, you didn't buy singles, you bought packs and fat packs. Just imagine if you'd put all that money into Mox Diamonds at the time and hold on
I
to
didn't
them.
I didn't understand what Reserve List was until I started playing Legacy.
Yeah.
You know? So like that was never like a question. It's like, oh, these cards are just old and that's why they have value. I didn't really understand the concept of, there's a reason these cards are expensive. Which we're not getting to the Reserve List
Guy's
conversation
Cradle get
here.
a digital on Arena? Did I see a picture of Guy's Cradle on Arena, or was that April Fool's joke?
I couldn't
Arena, I don't care, but for Magic Online, just know the Reserve List doesn't matter for Magic Online. Reserve List only matters in paper.
Well, I was talking Arena. Does it matter in Arena? No. Okay.
No, it's only for paper releases.
Dude, it doesn't matter. We got to play with Black Lotus during one of the events. Like,
yeah, Vintage Cube is fun.
No, it wasn't even Vintage Cube. This was
Pharaoh's
Blood Death. They had theme decks for Elspeth and Ashiok, and Black Lotus was in one of the decks.
Yeah.
On Arena?
On Arena.
In one of the decks, a Black Lotus was in there.
Yes.
Yeah, you can play the decks for the event.
Yeah, they only got to play against each other.
Why was it not in both? Wouldn't that just make one of the decks much better?
No. I'm pretty sure that Black Lotus was an Ashiok, and Ashiok was the worst of the two decks.
Well, you want to cast a Black Lotus, so you pick Ashiok.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. Give me that power.
Yeah.
So, we got a little bit off topic. Yeah, we're back. We're back, boys. We're back.
We're back on topic.
We're back on topic, everybody.
So,
so other cards that are like I choose not to play based on power level. Bolus of Citadel. I try to play that card fairly. You can't.
Didn't work. You can't.
If you play enough card draw or you play any tutors in your deck, it just turns into I actually just win.
Or just shuffle effects, right? Like, isn't a shuffle effect just a tutor with Bolus of Citadel?
Yeah, in a weird way, yeah. It's pay a life, like shuffle your deck for the
Fetch
fetch
lands,
land. Like that's pretty good. I mean, I try building that card fair, and I just essentially had to give up trying to play the card unless I'm playing CDH. Makes me sad.
Does this CCDH play? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
In some decks,
You
yeah.
can't tinker for it, unfortunately.
No, but you can still get it. When I built the Malcolm Timna deck, that was
That's
both
right.
Citadel deck.
That's right.
Yeah, one of the cards that we've brought it up before. Time Sieve is a card that I continue to struggle with whether or not I need to be playing this. Like, is it a card I'm going to start avoiding? Yeah, at this point, I'm probably going to start avoiding it. It's like, I think of extra turn spells. I actually don't mind extra turn spells here and there. Like, 1 or 2 is fine. It's when someone's goal is to go completely on extra turns, or they just jam their deck full of it and it's a non-deterministic combo win. Yeah, that gets a little annoying. I'd prefer to not play against that sometimes, but yeah, it's not a huge deal. But Time Sieve as a card, I always feel like, well, it's a pretty significant cost. Unfortunately, there's enough effects to make it where that cost doesn't matter. So I just keep breaking it, and I want to stop breaking it because I want to play it fairly, and I can't.
Yeah, it's not even just with like, is the card that combos with it well Thopter Foundry? Is that it? Not Thopter Foundry.
No, it's
What's
like
No,
any
Thopter Assembly.
Thopter Assembly.
Doctor Assembly is like the 2-card combo, but just like
But even like, yeah.
just play Scrap Trawler with it.
Oh, ew.
Uh-huh.
Yep, you
Ew.
just sacrifice 5 things with Scrap Trawler. You can sacrifice a Scrap Trawler itself; it'll still see all the things die, and you'll get all of those cards back to hand except for one of them. And then the ask is just, oh, make 1 extra artifact every turn. Easy enough.
Pretty easy to do, yeah.
Yeah. And when you're sacrificing mana rocks to this and just redeploying them on the same turn so you have it into the next turn, like, it just doesn't matter. The cost is too low.
Yeah.
Which is weird because it's 5 permanents.
Yeah. Well, wait,
It's a
6 if you
2-mana
don't count
card.
the Time Sieve. Yeah, but it's also color restrictive to an extent. It's blue black, so like
It is
it takes.
blue-black.
So
Imagine
you
if this
can't play
card
like
was like.
mono deck.
Imagine
Mono
if
blue.
this color was like two colorless and a blue. Imagine how awful it would be.
Oh, that'd be terrible.
Yeah.
Fairly good.
That'd be in so many artifact decks.
Yep.
Oh yeah. It's like color restrictions are good
Oh,
to balance.
thank God
things.
it's not an Urza. Woo! We dodged
Yeah,
the bullet.
that's what I thought. If it was a mono blue and Urza, oh god. But can we also go back to the oh god elephant in the room here?
Yes.
Thassa's Oracle, right?
Yep.
All right, let me get my soapbox real quick. I haven't been on it high enough today.
Can we get up there with you?
Yes.
Let's all stand together in unity.
I hate the Oracle. It is. I give Wizards a lot of benefit of the doubt. It's the only card I think they've really printed in recent memory where I'm like, this is an absolute design mistake. It shouldn't have been printed. I hate Thassa's Oracle. I hate its combos. It's really boring if you're not doing it the hard way. Doing it the hard way, hell yeah. I
Yes.
appreciate you if you get 15 devotion and win because of that. But doing the 2-card CDH combos with the Tainted Tutors or
Infernal.
Infernal Tutors. Thank you. The Infernal Tutor combos are not fun, and it's really hard to interact with. I hate this to the point where my name, whenever I do things on Tabletop Simulator, the room that I go into is called the Thassa's Oracle Slander Club.
That's excellent.
It's wonderful.
I love my main issue with it is sometimes you'll see lists, like I'll be checking out lists just to base my own lists off of, and it's a deck that does not need a Thoracle combo anywhere in the deck, and yet it has blue and black. It's a 2-card combo that they'll play. They won't play the Demonic Consultation, or no, they won't play
Tainted Pact
because they don't have the mana base. They can't support that.
Yeah.
But they'll play the 2-card combo with Demonic Consultation and Thoracle. And it's like, what the hell is this doing here? It doesn't synergize with your deck at all. It's literally just there just in case you draw those 2 cards and can just win on the spot. And it's just very lame, in my opinion.
Do you think we'll get hate for this? Do you think we'll get hate for sharing our opinion on this? I hope not.
I don't care.
Somebody's going to defend it, and that's fine.
Yeah, I mean, if you like the card, that's fine. But
Yeah.
I especially in CDH, sure. Like I know there's a lot of discourse on the card in CDH just because it really, especially with Flash Hulk being gone, it really consolidated like the win. It really not consolidated. Win cons in CDH are primarily that now. In before that, you kind of had like ISO Rev. You had I don't know, infinite mana combos with Finale of Devastation, which those still exist, but if you're playing an ISO Rev deck, you're often playing blue-black anyways. So in those two, why would you play the ISO Rev when you could just play Thoracle combos?
We can do
Oh,
a different
cool.
topic on CDH stuff because like that's a rabbit hole, right?
Yeah.
The only thing I do want to make clear on that with it is that Flash Hulk was a problem, right? It did need to be banned. Every single Flash Hulk deck was also a Thoracle deck.
Yeah, it was winning with it. Like the Cephalid breakfast combo, right? In Thoracle?
Nah, usually the easy way to do it was you get Blood Pet, Thassa's Oracle, and a Spellseeker. You resolve Spellseeker's ability to go get Demonic Consultation, sacrifice Blood Pet, Consultation with the Thoracle trigger on the stack.
Some decks I remember could even like support like having a Sylvan Safekeeper to protect the combo even more off of that instead of the Blood Pet, which was ridiculous.
Yep. So on the Thoracle thing, one thing I found interesting, we mentioned the Marquesa tournament wrap up or write up that the organizer wrote up. The last thing he mentioned was actually that Declarathas's Oracle actually only won 22.7% of their games.
Mhm.
So below the 25% mark, which is interesting that in CDH, I'm not sure if it's just that people chose to play decks without it or that people were prepared for it. It's just like an interesting point of data that like I'm not sure how to properly parse out because I didn't read too thoroughly into it. I just read it pretty briefly because I wanted to see the Kark info.
Yeah.
That's Kark. But I saw that point, and I just remembered it a second ago. I was like, I had to make sure like I read it correctly, and it's a weird stat because in casual tables that thing just wins. It's 3 mana win the game, and how do you interact with that really? But it's interesting that it didn't perform as well at this 100-person CDH tournament.
I mean, do we know the percentage of what it was how much of it was in the room?
Yes, actually. Let me
Really
Control F.
I mean,
representation events. Obviously, Oracle console is a staple CDH, and it's 59% representation of blue decks. Certainly no surprise.
Okay.
Well, Oracle only appeared in 40%, Oracle only appeared in 41% of decks overall.
That's interesting.
And Breach was only in 37% decks overall, and Adnaz is only in 38% overall.
So Adnaz, I mean, I know Stacks has been kind of making a comeback in CDH as of late. When beforehand, especially when Flash Hulk was big, Stacks was kind of laughed at as like not really doing anything. But I'm glad to see Stacks coming back because it is a valid archetype in CDH, especially the ones that are now like Kamal Timna, which are in CDH they're called win con lists, I believe, which means they just have no game ending combos. They literally just try to get there with Kamal.
They play Magic as Garfield intended.
Yes, good honest Magic.
Good honest Magic.
Ancestral Recalls?
Oh, of course. I find it interesting how we try to make this discussion based on like cards we tend to stay away from, and we still manage to talk about CDH. Is there like a correlation between like our casual stuff? We're just trying to avoid CDH cards in general, or like I'm just trying to like parse out why we got so kind of directed towards the CDH stuff when trying to focus on stuff that we chose not to play. Is because we just don't like to play CDH in our content for the casual stuff, or
it's high power.
Yeah,
that's honestly the main reasoning. Is it's high power and some of the stuff is frustrating. Like Thoracle and Stacks pieces are two things that are really the things that in the casual environment a lot of people will find frustrating. But other stuff is it's not affordable. Therefore, that's some of the stuff I tend to not play. Like in my casual decks, I choose to not put in most of the dual lands, despite having a good number of them. And the free interaction spells are very powerful. It's just when we're trying to do lower power stuff, you basically just look at CDH and just mark off every card on there and say, no, we're not touching those.
I think to an extent that is true. I think there's probably some things in CDH, like obviously, like it is a general statement. I agree with the overall general sentiment there. There are some things in CDH that probably are still just fine. But I mean, if it's a CDH combo, like a deck that's seeing good CDH play, like I'm now considering Magda to be a high power commander because that one Marquesa, like that deck did a lot better than I expected.
Well, that's the thing about CDH and like. So we've mentioned Zerscale, and why we tend to not use CDH too much when talking about it is because Magda, when you play it without the combo, is such an average, like, or below average deck. But when you play it, But yes, but when you play it specifically with Clock of Omens and the intention of turning your Magda into an artifact, it is now insanely powerful.
Just watching how Chandler had his Magna deck on the channel, and he built it right before it won this, and now it won it, and he's not off of it, but he was like, ah. So
He's off of it for some reason. He doesn't like to be a meta. He didn't want to build a meta deck because he feels like Tulane was a meta deck, which I don't personally. I don't think Tulane's a meta deck. But like it was like his generic like blue combo deck in CDH. That's what he wanted to do. Cool.
I was gonna
and he
say
was like,
food chain decks in CDH right now kind of seem down.
Oh,
I haven't seen them. They're gone.
I haven't seen them
Corvold
reporting
exists?
anything.
Is Corvold even doing food chain stuff still?
How else would it
does
win?
sometimes.
Or Witherbloom. Oh, it's a Witherbloom probably. It's a Witherbloom deck now.
Let me
Witherbloom
pull up the
Princess.
database. Ooh.
I mean, I'm sure it's
But
playing.
anyway, CDH rabbit hole is CDH rabbit hole.
Yep.
I will.
We could do a whole episode on CDH.
I love CDH.
Great. I enjoy CDH, but
yeah.
Maybe we'll talk about CDH soon and like clear up the misconceptions. We're still figuring our stuff out. But I believe that wraps us up today. Unless you guys want to make any last points. I YouTube in 20. Thank you for the comment. Hopefully we answer your question at least somewhat relevantly. Generally we stay away from CDH when we build casual decks. I think is what we want to sum that up with.
Long and short of it.
YouTube, and I hope you enjoyed your 30 minutes of rant and 5 minutes of answering your question.
It's what they came here for, right? we always said we were kind of a ranty kind of group.
We still, even when all we do is complain, we still love this game a lot.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Why would I spend the past 5 years of my life playing this stupid game if I didn't?
Oh my
love it?
God, we've been playing for 5. I mean, some
Over
people
5 years.
We're just babies, though. To some people, when it comes to playing the game,
we're starting to get to that boomer age. I feel like though.
Magic Boomers.
Hey.
I remember when it was called converted mana cost.
Back my day,
it was converted mana cost. I still say CMC. I hate having to say out mana value. I say CMC.
But it's more concise for new players. So I'm trying.
Oh, it makes sense. Don't get me wrong, but I'm still gonna say CMC.
This is one actually old Commander Boomer area. I remember when you literally could not tap for mana outside of your commander's color identity.
That was a thing.
Really?
So if you had like a mana confluence,
Yeah,
huh?
it would become colorless mana,
That's interesting.
which had a very interesting interaction with Eldrazi when they were printed. But
oh, so it makes like Commander Sphere.
Oh, that would have made
Commander
those
Sphere
cards
wouldn't work, but like you
better.
couldn't play Gilded Lotus. You couldn't play Gilded Lotus. It would tap. It would be able to tap for anything, right?
well, we'll tap
No,
for
it would
colorless
change the
mana.
color. It would be better. They were
Yes.
better.
If you could play your Thought-Knot Seer more consistently on your mana base.
Yeah, you wouldn't have to rely solely on colorless. Like you could play Thought-Knot Seer in any deck if you're playing the mana confluence, and I mean Arcane Signet didn't exist, but you know what I mean.
But Centriplets used to be much more of a joke.
Oh.
Oh.
I never even thought about that.
Wait, so what if you stole someone else's like mana rock or land somehow?
It still tap for your own mana, I guess.
If it could. Otherwise, it tapped for colorless.
So if you steal someone's Land of Worlds and you're not in green, you wouldn't get the green.
Yeah, you'd get colorless mana.
That's so strange.
I'm glad they changed that. That's so unintuitive, in my opinion.
It was a weird mechanic.
Oh, you played during Commander Tuck Rule.
Yes, I did.
Ooh,
I did
fun.
play during Commander Tuck Rule, and I at the time felt it was actually something that should still be in the game.
Do you still feel that way now?
A little less so.
I think it's interesting finding ways to get rid of commanders. Like Ixodron is one of my favorite freaking cards, just because it's like one of the cards that can just completely like get rid of commanders. There aren't many of them.
I have been wrecked by Ixodron more times than I care to admit.
You hurt me last week with Ixodron on webcam, Cameron.
It was hilarious.
I had a very winning board state with an Avacyn in play, and I got hit with an Ixodron, and my whole board of 5 creatures just
nothing.
It was extra confusing because I was used to Morph at that time.
So before we push off today and leave you all for another 2 weeks, Jason had a very important thing regarding New Capenna he wanted to talk about.
All right. First off, let me say, New Capenna's world building, absolutely fantastic. I'm loving the stories. I've read them all so far. I have a big complaint though. Why do cephalids have Schrodinger's bones? Like, they blatantly state in the story, cephalids don't have bones. Yet, if you look at the artwork, those fingers have bones. Those cheekbones, bones. Pointy elbow, bones.
Cartilage?
I don't know. Hydraulic magic? I don't get it.
Jason, do you prefer your cephalids traditional or boneless?
I would like a boneless cephalid with a 2-liter of Coke. Or I'll take Halo. Halo's good too.
The game or the game of the drugs. The game
Was
of the
there
drugs.
controversy
Out of
regarding-
releases.
Was there controversy around Halo? I thought I
Yes.
saw something.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I'll briefly explain that because that's just funny
Okay.
as well. So Halo as a substance on New Capenna, we don't know what it is, but it's like an empowering mana infusion drink currently.
Okay.
They use it for power supply. They use it for just a casual beverage. It's neat. The controversy was what was sent to WPN stores, encouraging them to sell or have beverages that they could sell as Halo. But by the way, make sure there are no alcoholic beverages at the table. Like, we're a family-friendly environment. Casual drug abuse, absolutely fine. Alcohol, get the hell out.
And they didn't explain what Halo was at the time. So, like, what is this thing?
We
It
still
sounds like
don't know.
cocaine.
Yeah, we still don't actually know what Halo is from a lore perspective. All we know is it's functionally a drug or alcohol. I don't know. It's your strongest wood alcohol. Let's just go with that.
Fun stuff.
But yeah, other than that, I have no other bones to pick with New Capenna's world building. It's really cool. But I have the bone to pick with the cephalids.
I get it.
That
you
pun
said,
was
you said bones.
intentional.
Yeah, Jason, I'm sorry. This is your last episode. That bun was really good.
I've peaked. I can't get out. Along with peaking my mic. It's fine.
I'll have to fix that in post. But I think with that really, really terrible pun, I think we're going to end this episode here. So thank you all for listening to another episode of the Wrinkly Brain podcast. We hope you all enjoyed it. We'll be back in 2 weeks, probably talking about some other random crap and magic and or some more content coming forward. If you've seen our newest videos, we had posted a new video last weekend, and then the weekend before we had an April Fool's video. If you haven't watched that, it's a trip. It is. We put a lot of work and time into the scripting and filming, and it's something else for sure. So if you want to feel like you're on acid watching a Magic the Gathering video, please check it out. And if you want to see more content like that, we'd love to make some more kind of off the wall gameplay, if you want to call it that. If you haven't checked out our Discord yet, we have a link in the description. If you haven't seen any of our other content, you just came across this video, listen to the end, please check it out. We put gameplay videos out every week, and episodes of this podcast out every other week. Thank you again for listening. This has been Ethan, Jason, and Cameron signing off. Thank you so much.